it's the time of the season when we are having round 4, and in round 4, it usually gets revealed who is fighting for the championship and who is fighting for whatever in this league, or in actually any kind of competition. It's the round 4 of Ero Pc F1, the Australian Grand Prix, which is another reason why, in terms of logistics, it's very hard for every single F1 team to get things together. Because we've been in Europe, then we've gone to Miami, then we've gone back to Europe to Austria, and now we're in Australia. And also, it's not the end, because we'll be going to Bahrain next week, and in the next 2 weeks, we're having Italian and Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix in Italy. And then we're going back to Saudi Arabia. So that is a bit of a challenge, and all teams looking good for it. They all seem prepared and ready to fight for the championship, especially the Red Bulls. Both of the Red Bull drivers are fighting for the championship, Evan Curtin and Tony Richard, that is. My name is Wojciech Śmigowski, and I am not only the owner of Ero, but also the commentator for today's race, in which we've got a couple of reserves. Maybe it's the time of the race right now that we are verifying who set the correct number in game, because, well, we are using the custom F1 TV dashboard and stuff. So, yeah, let's check it out. Let's hop into the game, and we'll see if everything's all right. We've got a driver number 99 and driver number 24, which is quickly fixable. And that's all about it. So there is one alpha that is not racing today. Every single one, in terms of names, doesn't seem fine. It's Yanni Durko, who's already getting 2 penalty points. So fantastic news for this Alfa Romeo driver. In terms of older ones, I don't see any more issues. That will be it. And it looks like it's going to rain quite soon, because you can see plenty of drivers already being on their outlaps. So there might be rain coming at any time now. Like, not now, but 10 minutes, 5 minutes. We'll see. Everyone is literally going on the track. There's most of the drivers currently on Albert circuit, which has gone through plenty of renovations, especially the section that is around here, which is a full flat out section, not just a chicane, turn 9, turn 10. And more examples is turn 13, which is where the Mercedes driver is. His name isn't Philippe Keller, his name is Tom Maurer, who is the first one who's gone out of the garage. We also see changes in the penultimate corner, turn 15, and, for example, turn 1, turn 3, where the track has been made a little bit wider, therefore a little bit faster. Tom Maurer already starts his lap, so it's about time we begin this qualifying session. Also, I was looking for the audio settings, just to slightly correct them. A lap with Tom Maurer looks like this. We're going through turns 1 and 2 in around 5th gear, then we're having 2nd DRS, down to 3rd, 4th gear. If you use short shifting, we've got another corner where you go kind of half throttle. Then we've got flat out one, turn 6, then we're going to turn 7 and 8, which after a layout change, is way faster. It was a barely 4th gear, and last year, for example, in the last year's F1 game, now it's like 6th gear. Then we're having a flat out, not a straight, it's like twisted straight, which before was turns 9 and 10. Now we're having turns legendary 11 and 12, where we've seen plenty of accidents, plenty of crashes. Didn't end up well, with plenty of DNF, safety cars and stuff. For example, Season 3 is remembered for that in Ero F1, or even this season has seen a couple of victims of these corners. Then we're having turns 13, another one I said it was changed. 14, 15, a little bit wider. And that's the lap of Australia. Tom Maurer is the first one to set a lap time, and we'll see what it is, the benchmark for today's session. And it's going to be 1:17.3, which is also the fastest lap of the current session, because it's the only one. Then we're having Kairusi, who's got 17.6. Next up, we're having Luke Mills, that's Ducro, 18.1. There's plenty of drivers filling up their lap times. Evan Curtin goes 4 tenths faster than Tom Maurer, and is he going for another lap? This is the question. No, he probably isn't. He's not using any of his ERS, and I believe that's about it for the first round of the laps. How about Tony Ricci? Because he's also on the lap time. He's invalidated. That's the problem for him. He might not get in time before the rain walks in because, well, everyone's just gone for the lap. So I might assume there is some rain coming, but it's clear. It's absolutely clear. Tony Ricci invalidates his lap again in turns 1 and 2. How about Roberto? He's already in the pits, probably invalidated. Ogiński invalidated as well. Henry Snell goes into the pits. He's having his debut in Ero Pc F1. He's been a Pc F2 driver in Austria and Australia. Now he's racing in Pc F1 as a reserve. That's his chance, where we're having not a full grid. We're having 19 drivers today. Ferdi Hairusi goes to the pits. So with a decent third lap time. Alpines are currently on the second row, which is pretty decent result for them, considering they've not been going the greatest, with Ferdi Hairusi having 5th place in Miami, and that's about it for this team. How about Yannick Ducrot? He's gone into the pits, Bilbas Ninf, so that's the first 6 minutes of qualifying in Australia, which already brought us 15 lap times. Now the question is, have all these drivers gone out so early because of rain? Or is it due to just setting up lap times? Kinda fast and coincident. Raczulski is also going to the pits, so we're having everyone apart from Snell and Ogiński on track. While Ogiński has invalidated. How about Snell? He's just started his lap. No, he's on out lap. So it will be a minute of wait for him. Speaking of which, just saying that Yannick Ducrot gets these 2 penalty points. This is his first offense, though. So, speaking of Australia, the circuit in terms of ERO, because you know the real F1 history of this track. It was like created in 1996. Seen Jacques Villeneuve almost winning on his debut in Formula 1. Unfortunately, only got second due to a mistake. It also has seen David Coulthard blatantly letting Mika Hakkinen and his teammate past. The 2010 madness of mixed conditions and plenty of collisions, pretty much demolition derby out there, with Robert Kubica on the podium. And this year, it was a dominant victory from Charles Leclerc. So that's what we can say about this particular circuit. Albert Park, located in Melbourne, one of the biggest cities of Australia. Meanwhile, Henry Snell is starting his lap just about now. And we're heading into turns 1 and 2 with him. We'll see if the Pc F2 reserve that was in 6th place in last week's Austrian Grand Prix can repeat those kind of results here in F1. Because in F2 we've seen battling with him, Dino, Marvin Moore in 2nd tier. How about the first one? He's currently not having a lap time, as he's now approaching Sector 1 with 26 points. He's crashed heavily out of turn 7, and that's it for this qualifying session for Henry Snell. He's DNF'd, and if it was real F1, that would have been an obvious red flag condition. Is there any driver on the hot lap? I can see Tom Maurer already pushing very well indeed. How about Raczulski? Because we've got 10 minutes to go, and this is when the F1 TV tends to glitch at times. However, Tom Maurer has already set purple sector 1 with 10 minutes to go in the qualifying. We're already having second round of laps here in Melbourne. Tom Maurer is currently approaching the end of sector 2. He's 2/10 faster. If he keeps this up, no, he isn't going to keep this up because he's already invalidated, but he could have gone for pole position because he was losing just 1/10 to Evan Curtin. How about Hairusi? He's invalidated. Marvin Moore, the other Pc F2 reserve, same applies for Maciej Iczak. And even Philip Keller is the reserve from the 3rd tier. So we're having a couple of reserves today. Marvin Moore is currently on decent 5th. I wonder if he should be a proper PCF1 driver, like PCF1 reserve, not PCF2. because he's doing very well in this qualifying session. Paolo Borlini, 2/10 up on his lap time, and he's not invalidated, of course, as of Sector 2. So can he outscore at least his teammate, because I don't think he's going to charge for pole. But the third place is very well possible for him, and he's about to cross the line now, getting 17.4 and, well, indeed, pink ahead of his teammate, Ferdi Hayrusi. Maciejczak is on the outlap, very decent 6. Luke Mills, the proper Luke Mills, because the Luke Mills in Alfa is in fact Yanni Ducrotone. Richard puts up the fastest lap of this qualifying, 50 milliseconds. And with his championship rival and teammate, Irvin Curtin, the Luke Mills goes 6 with 17.7, 2/10 up on his lap time. Yellow flags in Sector 1 are probably caused by one of the Ferraris. And that is Arian Bilbas without his front wing. No, he's having front wing. He kept the wall anyways. That might be damaging his lap at least. There's second Ferrari crossing the line. That's Marvin Moore, reserving for Jonathan Foss today. Goes 5th fastest. And I don't know what the lap time is, but definitely he's around 6/10, 7/10 behind the pole. He's 597 milliseconds. Patrick Maciejczak, being a reserve today for Alfie Harvey, who's been reported of illness, and that's why he's not racing today, unfortunately. He'll probably be back for Bahrain. Pretty much, it will be Albon De Vries case if Maciejczak happens to score points. Well, Alfie claims himself to be a Latifi of this year, like Go-Tifi he prefers to say. And he's still got the fastest lap points, so he's still got more points than Latifi in F1. But it would be even better to see Maciejczak in points, like literally the De Vries case. Next up, because I'm looking for drivers who stick their lap times, definitely not Yanni Ducro, he's trying to be Luke Mills. Wojciech Crocs on his way to complete his lap. I don't know how quick he is comparing to his previous lap run, but he's going to the pits, so he'll definitely not improve. How about Owen Heinen? He's in the pits. Kjellar is currently on the lap. No, he's on the out lap, letting drivers pass. That is one of the Williams drivers. That's probably Maciejczak. Yes, it is. Who is about to complete this lap. He seems very confident on this track. And we'll see if he can even further improve his lap time. Very decent 8th place for a PC F2 driver, who is about to cross the line with 17 on his lap time. Yes, it will be 70.4, placing him on 5th, which is very high for the Polish driver. And PC F2 reserve. PC F2 reserves are definitely taking over this grid with these results. Tony Richard is having an in-lap. Irvin has invalidated. How about Tomohiro? He's currently pushing. Again, he's got a purple Sector 1. If there's somebody, if there's anyone to be called eligible for fighting with Curtin and Richard on a regular basis, that's Tom in a Mercedes. He's 10th up on his lap time, which currently makes it himself still third, but around 3/10 of a loss. Maybe 2. Tomohiro now into the last 3 corners. And we'll see if he can match the drivers of the Austrian team. The 2 French drivers from the Austrian team, the Red Bull, is looking for the championship in both categories with these 2 dominant drivers. Tomohiro is pretty close, I'll be honest. 70.0, that is around 180 milliseconds behind the Red Bulls. With 5 minutes to go in the session, Yanni Ducro puts a 17.4, placing himself on the 4th. And there's a Mercedes of Kjellar doing 18.1. Unfortunately, no Mikkelsen today. But speaking of Red Bulls, well, if we put on a bit of roleplay, we would say that Christian Horner doesn't want a proper championship fight. But knowing these 2 drivers are separated by 5 points, there might be something else going on. And drivers might just not listen to the team boss. And that would end up in tears for the Red Bull. Whenever one of these wins the championship, the other one might just move to the other team. However, it's just race 4. So we might see still plenty of action around here. These 2 have proved to race clean in the recent races against each other, but there is no team orders at all in Red Bull. The constructors and drivers championship leaders. Marvin Moore warms up his tires, so he's not on a lap. Yanni Ducro isn't on the lap as well. Rachulski has invalidated yellow flags in Sector 2, probably caused by McLaren and Ferrari letting him pass. And that is Wojciech Crox, who is hot lapping as well. He's on a hot lap as well. And we'll see what his lap total time. He's 2 tenths up, but don't listen to the game saying it's purple sector. And he spins around as well, probably damaging his rear wing too. Okay, Wojciech Crox, as you can see, struggling on the way to the pits because he spun around and will not complete his lap time. Carlo Berlini on his final run of this qualifying, and the top 3 is being separated by less than 2 tenths, and they are far away from the rest of the grid. Ian Bilbas might prove on the race pace that he's capable of fighting their top 3 of the championship as well, because it's Red Bull's going away with 5 points of a gap, but it's 69 for Irvin, it's 64 for Tony, and it's 37 for Tom, so that's a bit of a gap. Irvin Curtin has gone for an outlap as well. How about Luke Mills? He's on the outlap too, looking for the drivers who are currently pushing, who are doing their best laps. About to do best laps. About to do best lap might be Oginski, who's out on track, but he doesn't look like improving at all. He's been probably saving some fuel and ERS because he's probably invalidated. 17.9 is his current lap time. And I also have seen red fuel indicator, so I don't know if he's going to complete this lap. But we'll see. It's 1.5 minutes ago. There's already traffic on the track. You can see big traffic with this Alpine on the left-hand side. There's also a Mercedes of not Tom Maurer, but Philippe Gielar alongside 2 drivers. There's also an Alpha Tauri of not Luke Mills, his teammate Owen Heinen, having to let past the Red Bull. And that Red Bull is Tony Ritchie, about to start his lap as well. Every Curtin is already pushing. He's missing 50 milliseconds on pole position. And every millisecond will matter. He's losing 85 milliseconds currently in the Sector 1. But remember, there's still Sector 2. There's still Sector 3. There's still plenty of corners today to go through. As Irvin is now 27 milliseconds up. So it all depends on the final sector of the qualifying. He's gone wide, yet still doesn't validate. Verdi Hirus is out of the session. I wonder if that's on the pits or on track. 5 place grid penalty for Mills for collision with him. And there's an Alpine being stuck on this place. Yeah, that was probably an accident. Plus, Irvin Curtin had to back out of his lap time. Tony Ritchie is 48 milliseconds up on his lap time at the moment. So he might be just confirming himself as a man on pole. Borlini is disqualified with decisions for blocking in the pit lane. And that means the Alpine have gone from very good, maybe not great, but very good, to tragic. Considering the fact Maurer is also on pole position, so he might be breaking the Red Bull's dominance. But we'll see Tony Ritchie now coming through the line. Can he outscore Tom Maurer? Sorry, he isn't. He missed out by 67 milliseconds, and therefore he's not on pole position for today's race. Irvin is also pushing, but he might be losing. He might have too little ERS to complete his lap time. Let's see, because he's already having less than 10%. He's 28 milliseconds up. It all matters on these couple of corners. He's also gone wide yet again. Trouble after trouble for Irvin. will be starting third, but Tom Moore is on course to his first pole position of the season. Yanni Ducro is now crossing the line with a lap time being improved by 77 milliseconds, placing himself on fourth. And there's not 2 minutes to go. The time is already up. Kirill Pavlakovic is now backing out of it because, well, it's the end of the qualifying. Lukas Derksen also reserved today, finally having a chance to race, is starting from the 17th. But Paolo Borlini with disqualification from the session for blocking the pit lane. Wow. That has gone from decent to bad for Alpine. Also, just a reminder for everyone on the stream to click that like button and subscribe to the channel whilst we're having qualifying being over. Richard, don't even try to set the lap again because you've already done it and time is up. So Tony Ricci in the second, Tom Mauer in the first. That means we're having an interesting grid for today's session, for today's race. Tom Mauer will start from pole for the first time in this season. And it also will be the first time for someone else than Evan Curtin to stay on pole. Behind him, Tony Ricci, Evan Curtin, Yanni Ducro, Patrick Maciejczak, Marvin Moore, Kirill Pavlakovic, Freddie Hyrossi, Luke Mills, and Wojciech Kroks, who are starting in the top 10, apart from Luke, who's been having 5 place grid penalty. So that makes Kroksnin, Robertson 10th, Oginski 11th, Petruski 12th, Kiela 13th, then Luke Mills on the 14th, Bilbas Hayden and Derksen, P15th, P17th, Henry Snell 18th, Paolo Borlini 19th. That is the grid for Australian Grand Prix in Ero Pc F1, the true home of league racing, by the way, and it's not just the slogan. It's true. Just saying. So, we're about to start the Australian Grand Prix. Meanwhile, this short window, I'm just going to see the chat. Seeing that people showing support to Tom Maurer. Also, Alfie, I've seen that Yanni has chose the wrong number, and that is true. And hello to Otapa and Shosti. As of now, we're waiting for drivers to pick up the strategies, and I wonder if there's formation lap on. Yeah, it is formation lap on. It's park famer off. Also, we haven't seen any rain, despite my my conclusions, considering how quick drivers got out of the pits. With less than 3 seconds to go. Yep, we're having formation lap. We can also see those custom banners on the start lights. Also, I can see what I have missed whilst quickly editing these sponsor banners. But that's okay. Maybe I'll better just turn off these, turn on this. We can see the starting tires for all drivers. Oginski is definitely going to attack on soft compound. The rest mostly has decided for hard and mediums. Like actually, like 5 drivers decided for mediums. Also, it would be great to see, not to see those numbers 21 and 22, but these are the championship standings with Curtin leading the way with 69 points and Tony Ricci 64. Then we've got Mario Bilbas 37, Śmigowski 22, Mills 20, Foss and Pavlakovic 19, the auto guy who's not racing today 12, and Hyrossi 11, closing up the top 10. And we cannot see the constructor standings because I haven't edited. Great. Tom Mauer is still warming up his tires. Maybe let's just turn on the telemetry data. And as you said in the chat, the predictions are that someone else from the top 3. The top 3 drivers, what are they on, to be honest? I mean, as you can see, most of the drivers have gone for the hard tires. Tomorrow, if he wins this race, can definitely improve the situation in his championship. But it all depends on parking, because there's still a glitch that says the drivers are having cold tires. Oh, there is a spin of the formation lap by Fraser Robertson. Fantastic news for the Haas driver. Starting on P10 alongside his team. And Hyrusik has been disqualified from the session, which is, of course, being disqualified for the formation lap. Same applies for Maciejczak. But the rest of the field, they seem to park up correctly. Nobody's too eager. Nobody's getting too close to the spot. And with 19 drivers on the grid today, we're about to start the qualifying session. Sorry, not even the qualifying, it's the race. Here in Australia, in the Albert Park, it's 5 red lights. This is going to be Irvin. This is going to be Tom. Is it going to be Tony? There is a couple of jump starts already. And it's lights out and away we go. And it looks like Tom Maurer is leading the way into turn 1 peacefully. There's Williams of Maciejczak trying to get into the 3rd place. And even second, fighting Irvin Curtin. And there's Tom Maurer being crowned after leading the race. Evan Curtin leads the Australian Grand Prix, and disaster happened for the Mercedes drivers. There's also a bit of debris around here. I've seen the Ferrari wing dropping off. But it's the Red Bull 1-2 yet again. And it's the championship fight between these two yet again. Here in Albert Park. After Sector 1, Evan Curtin leads the way. Then there is Tony Richard. There is already 30 Harusi being out of the race. So it has gone from bad to worse. And that is a safety car. For the first time this evening. Actually this afternoon, to be honest. Well, Freddie Harusi is out. We've already got the safety car. We've seen plenty, like not even plenty, loads of safety cars this weekend. With a safety car in F5, where there was like 4 safety cars. Even yesterday, PCF2 got like 4 safety cars. Same applies for F3 on PS. And PSF2 has got maximum amount, which is 5, on full wet conditions. Whilst drivers said it was kind of clean, apart from like 3 or 4 reports in the F2. It was just somebody had to crash out, and that's about it. Nobody's going to the pits though, and Ogiński and Wyczulski cannot serve their drive-through penalties. Marvin Moore is going to the pits to change his front wing. Safety car is officially out. And here is the burned Mailander. I hope there will be no glitches regarding the delta times, which we have seen in plenty of tiers, like PCF4 on Friday, where we had to reset the race midway through because of the deltas that are going crazy, and Codemasters with EA need to fix. So this race is going pretty interesting already. Maybe let's just slightly adjust the other settings. Evan Curtin keeps leading the way after the safety car. Wyczulski, considering his drive-through, has crashed out in turn 4. I'm not even surprised. A drive-through, safety car already. You can't even serve it. Marvin Moore and Arjan Bilbas. Marvin has already rejoined the pack, but Arjan Bilbas is now going to attack from the last place. But maybe let's just mention the start from Burlini, who's gone from the last place to around, yeah, he's gone 9 positions up. Just quickly checking on the default leaderboard. Also, Ogiński has gone 7 places up, but he's going to serve his drive-through penalty 7 places up for Henry Snell as well. So, however, most of the drivers gained positions due to Maurer spinning around, Moore having wing damage, Bilbas also having to pit. That puts us in a very interesting situation for today's race. Driver 21 GOAT. I mean, this race for Oginski, because he was saying in the chat that it's already gone, the chances for him. I mean, this is Ero where everything can change in any second. As carrying another lap under the safety car conditions, it will be lap 4 probably, when we'll start racing yet again. As drivers have to go kind of slowly behind the safety car. Also, they have to warm up the tires, keep the temperature, because you technically can't warm up them. And as far as I'm aware, we're already in the queue, so I might think this is the time for the safety car to come in with Sector 3. Yes, it is safety car in this lap for today's race. So we've got like half a lap of racing. Now let's up some more, probably like 26 that are remaining. This is the first safety car of today, and I hope there will be no more SCs. As Evan Curtin is warming up the tires, leading up the field. Behind him, Richem, Ducro, and Oginski, who has to serve his driver penalty. Top 6 is on the hard tires. Then we've got 2 drivers on mediums, and the rest, apart from Tom Maurer, is on hards as well. These are the pretty good race tire in this game. But how about managing them? Because you also have to consider pitting when this, not in these conditions, but in general, you have to pit once in the race. We go for the different tire compound. It's green flags again. We're racing, and it looks like pretty calm, to be honest, with Evan Curtin escaping the way from Tony Wojciech, being in the first place comfortably. Behind them, behind these two, there is Yanni Ducro, Antonio Oginski. We don't even count himself in this battle right now, as he has to serve his driver penalty. Wojciech going to the pits, and I have seen Williams hitting the wall probably in this turn 15. So Irvin, with the fastest lap, leading the way. Very well indeed. And is going to manage this race from the first place. Will Pawlakovic already losing 2.5 seconds. Even more than 2.5 seconds. To the top 4. Which has gone away. This driver, after doing a complete masterclass of his own in Austria, with 2nd place on the sprint and 4th place on the main race. Now in 5th yet again. So after missing 2 races, Quill has proved his skills to fight, not maybe for the championship, but the guaranteed seat, because, well, this is the time where we have to reveal the guaranteed seat rules for Season 9, with crossplay coming in. It will be for the top 4s only, and if we decide not to use it, because of it being broken naturally, it will be top 8 as usual. Who gets the guaranteed seat for next season? You never know when the if crossplay will be fixed. As we can see, Evan Curtin still managing the way. Quill Pawlakovic regaining possibly on the drivers. Let's see, probably. He's around 2 seconds behind the top 3. Just managing his race from the 4th place. The gap between the Red Bulls is now 7 tenths, and consider that from the next lap, starting on the next lap, we will be using DRS, and you can use DRS when you are within 1 second of the car ahead of you, which opens up a big chance for Tony Wojciech, who's already very close to Irvin, to overtake his teammate. Really have a choice to go into the pits first, without caring too much of his championship rival and teammate as well. As we're just about starting lap 6. Very, very soon, Yanni Ducro looks like the only driver to keep up with the pace of top 2. Even though he's out of DRS now. Now, Tony Wojciech is about to use his DRS. And possibly overtake Evan. No. And I've just reminded myself about that weird rule in Australia where these two DRS zones are pretty well connected. And if you get it to the detection point within a second behind your rival, you will have DRS on two straights. As far as I'm aware, the same applies for tracks like Canada and Mexico, but Tony Rich is burning his bit of ERS. Everyone has a little bit less, also burning a little bit, but Tony Rich is getting closer while using Slipstream on his teammate. He might be using it for a move into turn 13, which is a heavy braking zone as of now, not like last season. How about Tony Ricci? He's using now DRS, he's using all of his ERS power, everyone goes to the left hand side, but Tony goes down the inside into turn 13. This might have been a little bit of contact, but everyone defends his position well and will stay ahead of Tony still for the next DRS zone. And we're going to the last two corners with these two Red Bull drivers fighting for the championship. The gap between these two is 5 points. If Tony wins this race, he takes the championship lead regardless of what's happening later on. How about Tony? Maybe this time around, because Irvin is going to the right hand side, but defends very well indeed. Tony cannot make the move into any of the couple of corners right now. Tony might have been getting a little bit of warning, but he's now going around the outside of his teammate. They are so close from making contact, but Irvin still stays ahead. Now he's having to leave the space for Tony, but still keeps him behind. Tony having great race pace, but the qualifying pace wasn't there for today's race, but the race was there. Okay, there was qualifying pace for Tony, because he still got second, Irvin was third. He was the one losing a bit. But speaking of these two, they've got Yanni Ducro right behind them. And there's a side-by-side battle between these two. Irvin Curtin, maybe he's letting Tony to have DRS, but he's also gone a bit out of shape on the entry of turn 11. But he's now using DRS. This is so fun to watch. But can he make a move down the inside? Yes, he is going for a move down the inside. They are side by side to the next section of corners. No, Irvin backs out of the move. It only invites Yanni to possibly think of a victory today, considering these two who keep fighting so much. And there is another DRS zone for Irvin, who's having more ERS than Tony. Way more ERS, he can play with it. Yanni Ducro has even more of that ERS. So this will be pretty interesting between the three Frenchmen fighting for a win today. As Irvin Curtin, is he going for a move on the inside? No, he's just staying behind Tony, who just prefers to lead the race as of now and have the strategy choice ahead of his teammate. He can go for the mediums whenever he wants, essentially. Meanwhile, in the battle for the 4th place, there's a slight change. Fraser Robertson has overtaken Quill Pavlakovic and has gone for the 4th place. But they are not gaining anything to the top 3. And is Irvin going to give back the DRS for... is Tony going to give back the DRS for Irvin? This is the question now. No, he's not. He's just staying ahead of his teammate. They have decided not to swap. But this is the time they might have a will-to-will moment as well, with Irvin using DRS, having a bit of ERS. And he's not going for it as of now. Yanni Ducro still watching this battle. We'll be hoping for something that will lose a bit of time for the Red Bulls. And speaking of the sister team, 10th and 12th, but we have to mention Ferrari, who are promoting themselves well and well, doing it very well with 11th and 13th as of now, after being last on the restart. Irvin Curtin still... Oh, there was a bit of a yellow flag around here, and that's Filip Kiela losing a couple of places, being out of shape already in the 11th. Maybe let's check out his situation. Antonio Oginski is in the pits. Filip Kielar's front wing looks fine. He's probably just spun around, because he was the driver who's lost a couple of places. As Oginski is now out of pit lane, and I think he's going to finish the race on these hard tyres. Tony Rich is still keeping on the lead ahead of Irvin. Irvin just staying behind his teammate. And as you can see, Tony goes to the inside, Irvin goes on the outside. They're side by side into turn 13. They nearly make contact, And it looks like Tony keeps himself on the lead. No, they are still side by side. Everyone is out of the track. Tony keeps on the lead of the Australian Grand Prix. But that was again very close between these two. And I think Yanni Ducro, this is the moment for him to join the battle. You can see he's closer to Evan than Evan is to Tony. Now he's going side by side with the Red Bull. No, he's right behind. Had a bit of a half look on the inside. We'll watch the battle from his point of view. Everyone has a moment, and now Yanni is using that for his advantage. And now he can play a bit with the second Red Bull and the strategies as well. They cannot even battle together now because Yanni is on the second place and possibly is out of DRS. Not quite yet. He's like 5/10, but he's quite far from Tony, the leader of the race and currently the leader of the championship as well. Yanni is using all of his ERS power. Aaron is having very little bit of it, but Yanni might be going for a lead of this Grand Prix in lap 10. He's having DRS, he's having ERS, he's using it, he's burning the battery. He's looking for a move on the inside, but that was way too far from even thinking about it. He's very close to Tony, which is off now, the Alfa Romeo. Can he make a move on the inside? No, quite yet. And we'll be having himself trying possibly on one of the next two DRS zones. He's having a bit of a moment, nearly losing the car. Now it's time for Evan to retake his second place. And for the Red Bull, fighting the Red Bull for the first place. Not only in the race, but also the championship standings after round 4. There's also clouds around the track. So I wonder if there's going to rain at the end of this race. But the drama on these first 11 laps has been something else. This battle is proved to be very clean indeed. So Maurer, are you already 4th? Like he's literally gone for the rest of the field. And rejoining the battle for the victory, but consider he's gone on these medium tires. He might have to stop yet again. Consider he's pitted on around lap 1 after his spin on the very start of the race. Evan Curtin with fast sector 2 lap time. This might be a proof that he might be going for a move on Tony Ritchie. And is he going side by side with him? Yes, he is. He's very close from making a move. Not quite. Having a little bit of a moment, a little bit of a slide. But it isn't enough to even think of a move. Yanni Ducru now following yet again on the 3rd place. Tony Ritchie leading the race. We're having lap 12 of the Australian Grand Prix. And I want to mention that Tom Maurer and Fraser Norbert, not quite, but Tom Maurer definitely is getting close to the top 3. There might be a chance for him if it happens. We don't know the weather conditions predictions. What we know is that the rain might be coming. Like, we don't know if it's coming, but it might be. We know that there are clouds around the track. The track has gone a little bit darker the last couple of laps. And that might be a big miracle for Tom Maurer, who would go to the inter tires. He would have his race saved without pitting for any unnecessary pit stop. Evan Curtin not having any errors. Tony has something to play with it. He saved a bit of it whilst in the lead of this Australian Grand Prix. Introductory still following the battle. Tom Maurer relatively being close. He might be getting the DRS on the next couple of laps, I'll be honest, because he's catching up very well indeed, very quickly, to the top 3 drivers fighting for the victory. So looking now, Yanni Ducro using a bit of his DRS, might be thinking of a move into the next zone if Irvin doesn't, and prefers to stay within the DRS. He's not using DRS, so possibly just trying to be within this 1 second while being around half a second behind the Red Bulls. When will be the time for Evan to get on the move on his teammate? As Maciejczak with the fastest lap of this race, speeding in the pit lane though, 5-second time penalty. And as you can see, Yanni Ducro is getting closer now. On Irvin Curtin, he's using all of his ERS power. Can he make the move for the second place? No, he's decided to back out of it for some reason. Even though I would fully go for it if I was him on this place. He's using DRS yet again, but this is pretty much a waste of energy. When you're just getting a little bit closer, you would have DRS anyways. Evan Curtin, still right behind Tony Ritchie. But I possibly know why Yanni has decided to use all of his ERS, not just to make an overtake. Look at Tom Maurer. He's having DRS, that's confirmed. So he is now joining the top 3 fight. Yanni Ducros still just having half flux. We can also see Fraser Robertson has gone to the pits. As Pavlakovic is losing around 4 seconds to the top 4. Is the sky going a little bit darker? Even more? This is now the question. Because remember, we don't know if this is raining. I can check it on the PC F1 chat if there's any report in terms of weather conditions. But not really. I haven't seen any rain being predicted. Maybe they are just keeping as a surprise for us. As I can see Tony Ritchie going away, using all of his ERS. 3-second time penalty for Lucas Derksen in the meantime, but as you can see, Tony Ritchie has gone away from the rest of the fighters in top 4, the rest of the drivers. And thanks to that, he doesn't have to worry about Evan. He might be going for the pits now. No, he is not. It's kind of early. It doesn't change the fact it could have been the right time for mediums, maybe. Still, 15 laps to go, by the way. Still, he's having that comfort zone right now. Yanni Ducro very, very close on Irvin. Tomały just following the battle. Will Pavlakovic, does he look like regaining the gap? 2.6 seconds. 3.6 seconds, so just skipping the pace with Wojciech Kroks on the 6th. This might be double points for McLaren as well. Same applies for Ferrari. And AlphaTauri, because I'm not sure if Tom Maurer is going to handle the tires. But it has gone full clouds now. I mean, there is a bit of a proper blue sky around Albert Park, over Albert Park. But I can see that it's kind of cloudy around here. There's little spaces of a proper blue sky, but I cannot see any more sun, to be honest. As Tony Ritchie gets a 3-second time penalty in the meantime. He is having a penalty, which will cost him the podium possibly, or even the race win. As Yanni Ducro is losing a place to Tom Maurer now. And Tom Maurer, the Mercedes driver, has recovered from the last place after a pole position all the way to 3rd. He might be chasing the Red Bulls now. I wonder how are his tires. Maybe let's check it this way. It's 13 laps old medium, so he's on them since the safety car. I wonder if these are going to handle the rest of the Grand Prix. Possibly not. I've seen a couple of drivers in other leagues as well trying to go early on the mediums when there was safety car and got a puncture, so Tom Maurer probably hopes it isn't his fate for the end of today's Grand Prix. He's within a second of Irvin Curtin. He might be going for a move. Considering that Irvin is having no DRS. This is a chance for Tom to get into the 2nd place. As Tony Ritchie has indeed gone to the pits. now when I'm wondering, mediums or soft tires? Because remember, we're same as Crocs. Tony Richard has probably gone for the medium tire compound. Yes, it is medium tire compound. Now it's all for Erwin. If he wants a championship fight between the Red Bulls only, he needs to kind of defend from Tom Maurer, who is going to be on the lead of the race very, very soon, considering Erwin pits this lap. It's gone full clouds now, like officially. Are we going to see the rain in this Grand Prix? We're thinking that there is rain in qualifying, because we've seen all of the drivers suddenly going for the laps, even though it was clear, like completely clear. We were thinking of the rain conditions. Now we're having clouds, so this is a bit of a hope for the drama at the end of this Grand Prix. Tom Maurer decides to be happy on the second, having that DRS assist from Erwin. Not trying to overtake him, waiting for him to go to the pit, and then probably push as much as he can. Erwin goes to the pit, so we'll see if undercut attempt by Tony Ritchie will work on his teammate and championship rival as well. Tony is between the Ferrari drivers on the 6. Also, Yanni Ducroix has gone to the pits. Same applies for Kirill Pavlakovic. Now time will tell. Tony is probably overtaking his teammate very, very easily. Because we can see Erwin just going out of the pits, possibly being behind Arjan Bilbas as well. He's ahead of Bilbas, who's also getting 3-second time penalty, who's also very close to Erwin, who's on very cold tires. This is a chance for Arjan to make a move on Erwin. He's going around the outside. Fraser Robertson is out of the race in turns 1 and 2. This might cause, yes it is, a full call safety car for the second time this race. And we've survived like, what? 12, no, not even 12, like 16 laps without it. What I want to say is Tom Maurer is being gifted a chance, the first victory of the season. And the first one not for a Red Bull driver. Tom Maurer has to go to the pits, put on the soft tires, and then he might be having a chance to go until the end of this race. We'll see his decision, because if he doesn't pit, he pits on the last moment, to be honest. And we'll see what's the tire choice for him. He's going for the softs. And he is going to be on the lead of the race, so this safety car, caused by Fraser Robertson, is the best chance for Tom to take the lead of the Grand Prix. He is going to be the leader of this Australian Grand Prix. No, maybe he might not be the leader of the Grand Prix. They are side by side in the safety car line. They're side by side in the safety car line, and Tony Ritchie takes the lead of the Australian Grand Prix by millimeters. But Tom Maurer is now thinking he was ahead of on the safety car line in the pit exit. Now that's the question: who is going to lead the Grand Prix on the restart? That's the controversy of the day. Tom Maurer on the softs will definitely go on the away on the first lap of the Grand Prix. Maybe Tony just got an illegal overtake. We absolutely don't know. Tony will have a second time penalty. We also have to watch out on this particular detail. Wojciech croaks on the 5th as well, but the safety car in pretty much plenty of our races, I'll be honest with you. It's not the greatest thing to happen for most of the drivers, because you might actually see a couple of crashes in Miami, for example, which was plenty of safety cars. It was just what was pretty clean. We are having a second safety car, Maciejczak and Kiela on the last places at the moment. Both have decided to go to the pits. Maciejczak goes for the hard. How about Kiela? He's on the soft. Now Tom Maurer, you can see how close he is to the rest of the field. And by the way, on the meantime, whilst Tom Maurer is just not even trying to warm up his tires, but he's very, very close to this Aston Martin, like, don't get too close. You can say that It's a full grid for today's PS F1 Australian Grand Prix, happening in hours time on 6 PM UK. If you want a reference, it's 18 for me right now, and the race is on the 19. Like, from my own perspective. 6 PM UK is when the PS F1 Grand Prix starts, but currently on the last 10 laps of the Australian Grand Prix, we're probably going to have 9 laps of racing in Albert Park circuit. Just also checking the Nisto notifications if there's any rain incoming, because now this is the question of the day. We're having Tom on the soft tires, we're having clouds around Albert Park. We're having a controversy. Who was ahead on the safety car line on the pit exit? If Tony Ritchie has actually gone ahead of Tom Moirer after that pit exit line has ended, then it's the Mercedes driver being right to be on the lead of the race. There's what's happening on the back of the field, by the way. Lucas Dirksen has spun round during the full course yellow, and he's having a wing damage. Safety car is in this lap, but it's not going to be Lucas fighting for the victory, or actually anything in this race, considering he has to go to the pits. Now, we're having a safety car restart. We're going to go green very soon, with Tom Maurer leading the pack. He has to use these tires, these new soft tires, to his advantage. He's on the fresh compound. He can use all of it on these final laps of the Australian Grand Prix. It will be 9 laps of racing. He's got the advantage of 3-second time penalty for Tony Ritchie. He needs to use that if he wants to win for the first time this season and join the championship fight. Tom Maurer is still not quite going. Now he's going, and he's comfortably leading ahead of Tony Ritchie, and also Irvin Curtin has to watch out for Yanni Ducrot on the 3rd place, but Tom has still leading, has the lead of the Australian Grand Prix. Tony Ritchie on the 2nd, Irvin Curtin on the 3rd. I don't see any incidents going on, and it looks like it's another pretty clean restart, and we will be just waiting for the other, for someone doing a Fraser Robertson moment if we want any safety cars in this race. But we don't want them. We want clean racing, and this is what is going to happen in the last couple of laps, I believe. Owen Hayden gets a 3-second time penalty. Henry Snell gets a 3-second time penalty as well on the same corner. So with those couple of penalties, it might be going for Luke Mills on the podium. Sorry, not Luke Mills, but Yanni Ducrot on the podium definitely. Considering nobody gets any more penalties. Still looking for the drops of rain, which are probably not happening at this rate. At least the tire change is not happening on this rate, unless we were being surprised. Wojciech Crocs very close to Yanni Ducrot. The Ferraris, probably Marvin Morris just letting past Ryan Bilbas, who's having this priority of possibly joining a championship fight against the Red Bull drivers and Tom Maurer. Yellow flags in Sector 3 are caused by Bolini. As far as I'm aware, Tom Maurer also gets a 3-second time penalty, Yanni Ducrot gets a 3-second time penalty. I can see more and more penalties going on. So this is an open chance for Evan Curtin to win now, and for Wojciech Crocs to step on the 2nd step of the podium. Or maybe at least 3rd for the Polish driver. The first Polish podium this season is visible. We're having perspective for it. Maciej Dziebłowski, who's today not racing, goes away from today's race. He's not racing today, unfortunately. Has gone for regular points finishes, but we haven't seen him on the real contention for the podium. Wojciech Crocs is in 1. Same as Quill Pawlakovic. It all depends on Tom's tire wear, to be honest, because the medium runners, I don't have any concerns. They are going to the end of the race. But softs of Tom, now this is the question. As we're going to have DRS very soon, Irvin is going to attack Tony this time, or just wait with the penalties. It all depends if Tony has DRS, to be honest. We are not having DRS on this zone, or even the next zone. But we're having it starting right now with this lap. But we'll have to wait for it for the sector 3, where there's that green dot. Who is Lucas Dirksen? Wojciech Crocs with a 3-second time penalty this time, opening a chance to the podium for Quill Pawlakovic. It's a very wide chance for Curtin to finish first, and Quill finishing around third. Tom Merrick has already gone by like 1.5 seconds. So Quill might be going for the third place or something like this. Let's see, because everyone is now using ERS. They've already burnt out all of the ERS. You can see there's less than 30% for all the drivers. Berlin is pits. For brand new soft tires as far as I'm aware. And there's Maciejczak, the only one on the hard. It's also a big chance for Luke Mills to get promoted by a couple of places. Oh, there's a moment from Irvin Curtin as well. A change of places. Speaking of which, Luke Mills fights Marvin Moore will to will. There's a spin of Henry Snell in the background, who's retiring from the session as well. This is causing another safety car. It is causing another safety car, which is used by Quill Pawlakovic and Arian Bilbas to go to the pits. Same applies for Luke Mills. But we've seen the spin of the McLaren. And now this is the time when we're having... when we're actually having the drama. Last couple of laps. I have nothing to lose. This is the chance for every single driver to get promoted by a couple of places. Maciejczak is using it as well, because he's on 7th, but on the hard tires. Oginskis has the first chance to score points. And his Ero carry, because remember season 7, whenever he was going for a decent result on the PS F1 tier, which is Portugal, which is Brazil, which is any single race you can call, trouble after trouble. Either if it's a spin, if it's a crash, internet issue, which looks like it's being solved these last couple of laps. But still, he's got 0 points in his Ero PS F1 career. Now he's looking for the first points in his Ero Pc F1 career. This is also a great chance for drivers like Owen Heinen to score first points of the season. Paulo Bernini has his race safe. Same applies for Lucas Dirksen, who's in last place, but he's very close at least to the rest of the field. But as of now, the one who's winning the race is Irvin, because he's got no penalties, while every single driver in top 6, apart from him, has a penalty. But there are still Quill Pawlakovic is going for a full attack mode as well, so he might be promoted by a couple of places as well. Everyone apart from Paolo and Lucas is joining the pack. As we're having 5 laps to go in this Grand Prix. The Australian Grand Prix is having its final couple of laps. Where's the rain though? That would have been the best thing to see in this race. Philippe Keller with his second time penalty under the safety car. Not what he expected. But this race is already so chaotic. These final couple of laps, these 4 laps of racing we're having in this race. These might be pretty interesting. Also, I literally thought Wojciech Crocs is going to spin. Speaking of rain, weather conditions, I have been told by drivers that there is no rain expected in this Grand Prix, so all of our hopes have gone. We're having a safety car coming in right now. As the last final couple of laps the last 4 laps of this race. We're having a restart now. Tom Maurer leads the way again. Now there's no more he's still on the track, Bernd Maylander, but he's going to the pits now. He said his thing. Now it's about time we're having the final laps of racing in Australia. And we'll know if Tom Maurer is in the championship fight. Because Arjan Bilbas doesn't look like so. With 10th place at the moment, with 3-second time penalty. Tom Maurer has already started! And this, for the final 4 laps, may be a game changer. He's going pretty fast, just like Lewis Hamilton did in Netherlands, and Real F1. Now it's Tom Maurer doing the same thing. And it's this time not the Red Bull overtaking the Mercedes. The Mercedes is still in the lead after turn 1. So it was a perfectly executed restart from Tom Maurer, who can use all of his ERS, because remember, he has a 3-second time penalty. He needs to get ahead of Ivan Curtin by 3 seconds in order to win the race. Tony Richard might be accidentally helping him though. Or intentionally, we will see. Will Pavlakovic at the moment. He's the one to look at as well, because he's on the fresh soft tires. He'll be looking for a move on Ogiński this time around. In turns 9 and 10, or this twisty straight, which is a flat-out section. Ogiński is swerving about a bit, and Quill makes a move on him. For position number 8, the Williams driver is now having his teammate right behind him, ahead of him, sorry. He also might be going for the fastest lap of this Grand Prix. And he's in contention for position, for even a podium, to be honest. Ogiński fights will to will with Luke Mills. Look and see how quick are these soft tires, this yellow flag. In sector 3, that's Owen Heinen losing the car entirely. Now I wonder if the Williams drivers are going to work together. Or is Maciejczak going to fight? Because they are teammates, I wouldn't fight if I was a PCF2 reserve, but we'll see. He's going for a move down the inside. There's also a spin of Mercedes, that's Philip Kielar. But Quill cannot get ahead of his teammate for today's race. How about now? There's a couple of physical penalties going on. Quill goes down the inside. This was very close for making contact. Also, Luke Mills is going for a move on the outside of Patrick Maciejczak, and he's gone for it. In the midfield, also Arjan Bilbas is going for it as well. You can see that how close it was. Arjan Bilbas with a 6th penalty though. Patrick Maciejczak might be still scoring points, even if he finishes behind a couple of drivers. Owen Heinen probably going for the fastest lap now. And as of now, it's still Ivan Curtin winning this race. But we're focusing on the midfield, because this is where Quill Pavlakovic has a chance to attack all of the drivers. He's already 4th at least. But we have to consider that Wojciech is far away from top 4. He's lost a bit of pace. And a bit of a gap to the top 4 drivers. Maurer, Richard Curtin and Ducro. Just a reminder that it's Yanni Ducro and the Alfa Romeo. We don't have 2 Luke Mills on the grid. There is a Ferrari making a move on Maciejczak, that's Arjan Bilbas. For position number 8. Now he has to get away by 3 seconds. Well, Maciejczak's fighting back. Also, Marvin Moore is fighting there. It's a free wide into turn 3, and there's a crash between the Ferraris and the Williams driver, Patrick Maciejczak, who's got no front wing. And if I had to name the one in fault, that's definitely the driver for the Ferrari. As Burlini with Burlini and Ogiński side by side into turn 7. Burlini is on the fresh soft tires. Bilbas is disqualified from the session for parking dangerous location. He's probably been stuck on the curb, or he's actually moving. I feel bad for the Ferrari driver because, well, he had a chance to score for a point, and his teammate from PCF2 has gone for a gap, which was very risky, to be honest. Burlini might be going for the points now ahead of Ogiński. And there's a spin! There's a spin of Tom Maurer on the final laps of this race, which brings a free win for Ivan Curtin. Remember that Tony Richard has a 3-second time penalty, but on the second penultimate lap, Tom Maurer has spun around, lost all of the places he could, and won, and lost his victory in this Grand Prix, but also Yanni Ducro is going for a move on Ero Curtain, hoping to finish on the second place, at least on track. They are side by side with each other, not quite yet. Killer retires from the session on the same place where his teammate has spun around, but it won't cause any safety car. Yanni Ducro gets another 3-second time penalty. It's just inviting Quill Pavlakovic to maybe go for the victory in this race, you know, because Erwin is definitely not having any DRS. It's a chance for Quill to win. The gap between the Red Bulls is 2 seconds, which is enough for Quill, for Erwin to still win by a second, but the margin is getting smaller and smaller. Quill is having purple sector 2. This is the chance for him because he's at least on the podium. He needs to calculate the risks. Ero Curtain is losing the place to Quill Pavlakovic. This is the battle for the victory now. Yanni Ducro is going to finish on the second, on track. Quill Pavlakovic doesn't look like going for a move. It all depends on the ERS. He's got that bit more, which might be enough for the side-by-side finish with Erwin. He's using all of it, but it's not enough to get into the victory of this race. Ero Curtain wins the Grand Prix for the third time this season, ahead of Quill Pavlakovic and Tony Ricci. Luke Mills finished on the 4th place. Then we've got Yanni Ducro, Wojciech Kroks, Antonio Ogiński. Burlini ahead of Ogiński, Moore and Maciejczak. But this incident between the Moore, Maciejczak and Bilbas is definitely going to be discussed post-race. And Tom Maurer, he's got a chance to win. He's got a chance to fight for the championship. He's spun again. And Owen Heinen finishes on the last place. That is the end of the Australian Grand Prix and PC F1 and ERO, European Racing Organization. The round 4 is not completed quite yet because we've got a PSF1 Australian Grand Prix in the next 45 minutes, which I believe is going to bring in some action as well. Considering this race in PCF1. Quill Pavlakovic in the second place. That's impressive. Like, very impressive for the Williams driver. Couldn't race in the first 2 races due to issues, which are technical and over him, but he's now fighting for the podiums. And maybe even he might be joining the championship fight in the later stages of the season if he keeps this up. However, the official race results are Ero Curtain, Quill Pavlakovic, Tony Ricci, Luke Mills, Yanni Ducro, Wojciech Kroks, Paolo Berlini, Antonio Ogiński, Marvin Moore and Patrick Maciejczak. Then we have Lucas Dirksen, Tom Maurer-Heinen, who also finished the race. Philip Keller DNF'd with 2 laps to go on lap 28. Henry Stell, Fraser Robertson, Bartolomei Ryczulski, Freddie Hajrusi and Darian Bilbas all failed to finish. And there's also an incident between Ero Curtain and Tom Maurer being reported. Not quite reported yet, but definitely we've missed some action looking at the midfield. But that's the end of the Australian Grand Prix. We're still having a press conference to make. Maybe I'll just see the chat because, well, that's been crazy race. That's been the crazy ending for today's race. The battle between Red Bulls and Yanni Ducro also was clean, for the most part, at least. Now I'm heading to the F1 conference room because, well, it needs a bit of post-conference thing. Erwin, Quill, and Tony. But, well, this race was very close. This race was actually so close. And we're having already one of the first podium sitter. Like, not the race winner, but the podium sitter. We'll see if it's going to be a race win for Quill. Hello. That
Hello.
run on the final laps of the race on the soft tires, well, that was something else. Very close to the victory. Less than a tenth behind the winner.
If my reserve teammate didn't fight me into turn 1 on lap 27, I would have won.
That's also what I'm thinking, personally. Like, he probably wasn't aware of you having a chance for a win.
Just annoying. I wish I had Alfie, because Alfie doesn't do... Alfie just sets fastest lap and brand new softs on the final lap or something. He doesn't block his teammate getting a win. I should probably be a bit less salty than that. Other than that, I think the race went decently. Lap 1, I had to back out of about 3 times to avoid getting damage or a crash. And then I think when Robertson went for an overtake into turn 1, I just decided to back out as I was on the outside, and he was on mediums when I was on hards, and then I just followed in DRS. Then he boxed, then Crocs got past me. Actually, no, Crocs did an undercut. Then when I came out of the pits and cold mediums, I was ahead of everyone, but cold mediums, they're not as bad as cold hards, but they are bad. Got a bit of a slide, or maybe wheel spin or drifting, basically trying to heat up the rear tyres, and I think unfortunately Fraser got a bit caught up in the incident, which unfortunately for him resulted in quite a bit of damage. Luckily, I didn't get any damage from it, and it also allowed me to close up to the leaders. And in the final safety car, the timing was so lucky. So as I was going through turn 13, which is the first turn in the chicane, I saw the message that someone had retired from the session, and under the previous safety car, I did some thinking, which was that if there is a safety car, regardless of what anyone else is doing, I box for softs, because softs at this track are basically super softs because they're 2 compounds softer. And as soon as I saw the person retiring, I knew I was boxing, because at Australia, the safety car comes out whenever pin drops. So I knew that would be a safety car, and I was the first person to box. And also, from qualifying, I intentionally didn't use all my tyres there, which I could have done, so that I'd have a brand new set of softs, because I knew there would be at least 2 safety cars at Australia. So I had some brand new softs to I don't know how to pronounce the word. Sky or something like that through the field. And I think I was P9, and then I intentionally, like when I had some free air, I saved the battery so I could use my tyres to catch up, and then use the battery to do an overtake on someone.
Well, that's a wide report from today's race from your side. Let me just add something else to this thing. Yeah, maybe a quiet music will be good as well. Irvin, you're here as well, the race winner by around a 10th.
Yeah, yes.
Well, that...
You know, I could have dive bombed you into the final corner.
Yeah, I don't know. You tried, I was so scared about you.
But Irvin, from your perspective, not the greatest qualifying session, starting only 3rd, but still making this a win. Also, we need to know one thing. Is there any kind of teamwork between you and Tony, or is it a pure championship fight going on?
From him, I think it's a pure championship. he really wants this championship at the moment.
Yep, looks like so. But how about race from your perspective?
It was very hard because I was a bit slow in straight, but I have had a lot of luck in the race.
Well, is there anything else you want to comment on?
No.
So now we're moving to the 3rd place. Tom Mauer actually. Not the 3rd place quite, but the last one. Unfortunately. Because, I'll be honest, I missed your spin on lap 28. What happened there?
I just had an incident with Erwin.
Because you two are in the chat right
down.
now. Well, now I'm going to ask
Yeah.
the most peaceful question ever. Are you reporting it?
Probably, but probably you won't get a penalty. I didn't review the footage yet, so I'm not sure if he was alongside my side pod or just my rear tires. But yeah, we'll see, I guess. Don't know how I spun at turn 1. But then from there, the pace on the mediums was great. And yeah, I guess unlucky, but we move on.
Yep. The championship fight's still not over yet. We'll see how are the standings in the next couple of hours after today's electrifying Australian Grand Prix, because I must say it was electrifying. And
I think I'm 60 points back now. So.
just to confirm, Irvin has won 57.
Because Silverstone DNF with the throttle amateur on her safety car. In Miami, the incident with the Alfa Romeo. Austria hit in the sprint race, and now this. Not great, but I'll come back stronger for Bahrain.
Yup, and we hope for that. Now, it's probably time to end this live stream. We've seen everything in this race. From clean racing, to crashes, to safety cars, to whatever we wanted to see. And that's about it for today's Australian Grand Prix. Next up, we're having Bahrain, unless you still are having to watch Australia, then 35 minutes, Cameron Don will commentate. But for PC, it is done. Next week, we're having Bahrain, which is a temple of plenty of action when it comes to racing wheel to wheel. And we'll see you there. Goodbye.